Recording is on.
All right. So, this is my brother Ryan here as my
Hi.
podcast guest, and we're going to talk about some Halloween stuff. So, what do you bring to the table? It's all about you. You're I'm putting the pressure on you this time around.
Halloween. Oh, yeah. Um, yeah, unfortunately, I always think of, or every Halloween, I say next year I'm gonna plan like what for like a costume and like more decorations and stuff. And now here it's like 6 days before Halloween, and I still don't know what I'm gonna do. George, my son, he's not sure what he's gonna do.
Yeah, I know in the past you dressed up as Billy Mays,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that was a creative choice.
Yeah, I
So,
think that
what horror movies have you been watching and stuff like that, if any? I'm sure you have.
yeah, actually what I've been doing lately is I make a list of movies. And I mean I was doing this before like Halloween, like horror movies, but I would just make a list of a bunch of movies that I had never seen before, like The Godfather and
Yeah.
Willy Wonka. I'd never seen that before, so but because yeah, it's of course Halloween season. Um, I made a list of movies. There's like 20, 40, 60, about 120 movies or so. Well, actually, about 20 of them are like TV series.
Yeah,
And so what I do is I use dice to pick a movie to watch.
that's interesting. I've
So
I use a website called Real Good. Sometimes they have you can put all these streaming services that you use on there,
oh,
and
okay.
they have like a. It's sort of like you can hit a random button, and it's like a game of roulette. It lets them decide for you basically, and it is pretty random what they come up with. That's for sure. So you can
Oh, okay.
end up watching some like Japanese game show or something like that. And really, the rule that I impose is that I'm not, if I ever do that, I'm not going to just. I'm going to abide by what it comes up with
Okay.
and suffer through at least one episode of it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So this year I've written a piece about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which I think is one of those movies that's really sort of it's surprising. It's better than one might think it is. It has no right to be as good as it is, I would say.
Yeah,
Like,
I ordered the Blu-ray and I watched it, but I was disappointed because there wasn't really anything on there. I don't I think it was one of those instances where they say that there's a commentary track, but it's just like people talking about the movie, like they're not watching it. It's
yeah, yeah,
the first Halloween movie. One the DVD I have is like that, where
yeah.
they just have like it's basically an interview with like John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis, and yeah, that's has like you don't you might as well just listen to it because they're not
Yeah.
talking about anything in the movie.
Is that one of those weird ones where they have like sort of a narrator who's like introducing each speaker and
It's
stuff?
yeah,
It's like
like a
a weird when that
moderator.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I well, what's interesting about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 is that you've got Leatherface who was killed in part 2 basically had a chainsaw through his midsection, through his stomach or whatever, and they don't even explain how he survived that. In part 3 they just have him appear, and there's a whole new family. They don't explain where they came from or any of that. But yet it's still actually a pretty good movie somehow. I just find
Yeah,
that pretty funny.
I never questioned that. Although honestly, I'm not sure, but I think I may have seen the third one before I saw the first one.
Hmm.
I'm not sure. Same with like Halloween. I don't think I saw the first one first. I think
Yeah.
I don't know which one I saw, but
Sorry, there are some people downstairs that are making some noise.
oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I like the the guy who his character's name is Alfredo.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the guy who's throwing the all the body parts and stuff in the swamp, and then he says, "Is it soup yet?"
Yeah, I'm pretty terrible with names. So I don't remember the actor's name, but he does a really good job in that one. And
Yeah, I
kind
rec.
of wish they brought Alfredo back somehow, and
Yeah, that.
Chop Top as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That guy's name is Tom Everett. I just looked it up, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's
he turned up in an episode of Monk, and then
really
also he's in an episode of Newhart where they go to the diner where Larry, Daryl, and Daryl
yeah.
basically serve roadkill. I don't think they were. I'm not sure if they were in that episode. Well, yeah, they must have been. But anyway, in that episode, he plays a prisoner. There's a group of prisoners that stop at the diner, and I think Bob Newhart's character and his wife they go there and they help to make food for all these prisoners. And this guy who plays Alfredo says to Bob Newhart's wife, or the character, I mean, that if my mother had cooked like this, I never would have killed her.
Wow, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
I thought that
It's
was
almost
kind of
like a little
surprising
tie-in
for. Yeah,
to
yeah,
the type of family that appears in any Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
right.
And another thing I like about that movie is that daughter. I forget that actor's name too. Or whatever she is. She's just a child. I think her
Yeah,
character's name is just Girl.
little girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
She.
she she also played the young Tina in
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Friday the
Yeah.
13th Part 7. Yeah.
Yeah. That movie is something else, and she does a pretty good job in that, even though it's a relatively small role. But she
Yeah, yeah.
obviously introduces the superpowers of Tina, and she famously kills
Oh,
her
right.
dad by accident. Spoiler
Yeah,
alert, I guess, you know. But
right, yeah.
it's an old enough movie that I think most fans of Friday the 13th have seen it already, right?
Yeah, and if not, I don't think people really care. It's
They're not going to slit their
that's
wrists in the
a
bathtub if I spoiled that moment. Although
no,
that'd be
hopefully
an
not.
interesting way to go. An
I
interesting,
reason, yeah. If
yeah.
you write a detailed note, yeah.
The suicide note. I listen to this random podcast that nobody has ever heard of or listened to, and this guy mentioned that Friday the 13th has a character who kills her father, and it totally spoiled the movie for me. I can no longer tolerate this world, and I love you all. And then that would be
and
the
the
end.
and the weird thing is the suicide note is notarized.
Yeah.
It went to
So,
the county clerk's office, or I don't even know.
uh, yeah, there could be a criminal investigation and everything. Um,
Well,
so
yeah, that
another, actually haven't watched that many horror movies this Halloween season. It's a little bit
I so I
disappointing,
me
but I did
and George.
watch. What was that?
Oh, I was just gonna. I do have the list of. I've been
Oh,
keeping a
sure.
list of the movies that we have watched so far. The first thing we watched is the Mystery Science Theater um version of the movie Devilfish,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
and then the Riff Tracks version of Terror at 10 Killer, which is a cheesy like 80s or maybe 90s horror movie, I think.
Yeah.
Then we watched the Abominable Dr. Phibes, with Vincent Price. And that was pretty good.
Yeah, I still haven't watched that one.
Yeah, sometimes it's really fun just to watch those old movies where they really rely on like um, sound effects like
Yeah.
creaking and spider webs, visuals. We watched 30 Days of Night, which I had never seen
Oh,
before.
that's a good one. Yeah.
I've only seen part of it. Yeah. Then we watched Wrong Turn, the um, the original. That seems weird that there's a remake of that, but
Yeah.
and Chopping Mall we watched.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've never seen that, but I do have it on DVD.
Oh, okay.
It's just one of those things I haven't gotten around to yet. And really, the main movie that I watched, that I normally watch, is A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Oh
Definitely
yeah,
one of my favorite movies. And
definitely.
I'm wondering what kind of movies have you watched? Any movies that you are typically watching every single year?
Let's see. Yeah, so far they've all been kind of odd like movies like we watched Dario Argento's Inferno.
Oh, I have
That
seen that
was
one.
yeah, that was really good. But the last movie that we watched was Sinister. We actually just watched it
Oh
yesterday.
yeah.
And I told George that that was one of the they just did like a study at some university or somewhere, I don't know, that that movie is like the scariest movie based on measuring
Hmm.
viewers heart rate.
Wow.
So I told George that, and that really I think piqued his
Yeah.
interest because he actually, because a lot of times when we watch a movie he'll just like start playing his guitar or
Oh yeah.
something. But yeah, he actually sat and watched it, and yeah, he thought it was really good and scary. There's a
Well,
lot of
what's funny about that
unexpected
movie though is like, what are the odds that all those separate pieces would actually line up? It's sort of like it's one of those things where fate would have to play a hand, or destiny, or whatever.
yeah, a
Having
lot of things.
the recordings all listened to at just the right time and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then when towards the end where he finds the other like the little envelope that says extended cut, and that just is like kind of cheesy and kind of
It is
dumb,
a
but
little bit, yeah.
yeah,
Well, I actually, for pop horror, I did kind of write an article about how when you put ghosts in like cell phones or the internet or any type of machine, it just kind of makes it cheesier somehow. Like to have anything
yeah,
like that in a modern setting.
yeah, that's true. A lot of shows I think, which I haven't seen, but I'm sure a lot of shows do that too. They take elements like, okay, well, what's popular nowadays, or
Yeah,
you know, I suppose it's trying to write something that's never been done before because, like, with technology, there's things that
yeah.
didn't exist years ago. But yeah, that doesn't necessarily make it interesting or cool or whatever. But
I can still enjoy stuff like that. I do want to make that clear, but
oh
it
yeah,
does make it seem less plausible. I mean, I already don't really believe in ghosts and that kind of stuff already.
yeah,
But when you have like, oh, there's ghosts online haunting people, it just makes it that much harder to like take it that seriously.
yeah.
And of course, nowadays you can have it's easier to fake ghosts in general through Photoshop and artificial intelligence and uh,
Yeah,
what's that called where you do the face swap stuff. But I can't think of that right now. What is that? Deep
right,
fakes.
yeah.
Deep fakes. There we go.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but and
Um,
let's see what else do I have. Well, you think of something. What do you want to talk about?
um, let's see. Yeah, I did make some notes. Well, yeah, I mean, naturally, the movies that are, I mean, all the classics. Um, my stupid computer keeps telling me that it stopped a virus.
Yeah.
Keeps doing that. But anyway, yeah, like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th, Halloween. I think I said
Did
that
you
right?
see the new Halloween movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I suppose we should have actually started with that one. Oh well. What are your
Well,
thoughts on that one? Spoiler alert
yeah,
again. Spoiler alert.
yeah. No, I was disappointed.
I have to admit I was too. I can't say that I hated it because I was kind of expecting it to not be that great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
Well,
idea of Michael Myers having a kill apprentice, it's a little bit weird. And honestly, if I was gonna do that, if I was like at the helm of these movies, I would have shoehorned it in the middle, in the one of the middle movies instead of having it in what's supposed to be the final one.
yeah, it took up too much of the movie, and the guy. I kind of wonder if they did it because the guy who played him was like excellent. Like I'd love to see him in another movie that's good. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, it just well, like for me, the 2018 Halloween movie, I really liked that. But and my least favorite part of that was when the doctor, spoiler alert, kills that the I think is it a police officer or
yeah,
something?
some sort of cop, I think.
Yeah, yeah, just to see what it was like. I didn't like that. And then so now it's like they took that moment from that movie and made a whole movie about it.
Kind
So
of, yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
not not what I wanted to see. I don't think I wouldn't have minded even if that ended up happening in the movie, but just not
Not as
not to
most
be
of the
the
movie
focus.
itself.
Right, yeah. Like as far as Michael Myers hiding out, I didn't mind that. It made sense, and like a lot of people are saying, in these movies, like this trilogy, he's not supposed to be like a supernatural.
But
Although
then,
he survived a lot. I mean,
yeah, you have to
he
wonder how he survived some of that stuff if he's not supernatural.
right, yeah. I mean, I suppose in because it starts after the events of the first one where Dr. Loomis shoots him, and
Yeah.
then he goes to prison. So I guess they saved his life there, and then he was just in prison for 40 years or whatever.
Yeah. Where were Obama's death panels then? Just kidding. Just kidding. I don't want to get too political, but that just popped in my head. The life saving care given to Michael Myers.
So yeah, he then I wasn't that big on Halloween Kills either, but I definitely liked it more than this one.
Yeah, another thing about Halloween Ends is that like if you're gonna have that guy going around killing, like why didn't they just save that to be like the next movie, like the next franchise where Michael Myers evil kind of just passes from person to person, and you could even tie in the Halloween 3 into that somehow, really, by making it like
Yeah,
sort of a broader supernatural curse. That's another way that they could have done that, I think.
right, right. That kind of reminds me of these Friday the 13th novels that I used to buy and read,
Yeah.
where Jason's mask, somebody would put it on and they would start killing people because it was like they were possessed by Jason's
Hmm.
spirit or whatever.
That reminds me of Friday the 13th, the series, where
Yeah,
obviously they
yeah.
had a lot of possessed, mostly antique items.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we've been watching some of those episodes too.
How about, have you ever seen the Ray Bradbury Theater?
Yeah,
Because I've been watching some of that.
yeah, we've watched at least one episode, but it was a while ago now, like probably earlier in the like towards the end of last winter maybe or early spring, I don't know. It was a while ago, but yeah, that's on my my regular list. Well, I do have it on my Halloween list
There's
to
a
just
there's a
compare.
pretty neat episode of that where Jeff
Yeah.
Goldblum plays a character who just kind of randomly decides to stop in this town to sort of prove to himself that he's not some snob or something, that he wants to experience a small town. And he encounters just this sort of random stalker guy. And then at some point, the stalker tells him that he was waiting for just the right random person for him to kill or something like that. It's a weird episode.
Huh.
I don't remember what it's called, but I would definitely recommend that one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, usually I'll just start like from the beginning and start watching them. Like we've watched some Freddy's Nightmares episodes too, and yeah, there's boy some of those and some of
Some
the
of those are
tales.
pretty bad.
Yeah, same with the Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
There's one episode called The Tear Collector, and it's I don't know what they were trying to do in that, but
What happens in that one?
I this guy collects tears from people as they're crying, and that I mean that's really all that happens. It seems like, and
Wow.
then there's no resolution, or yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah, so let's see. Speaking of no resolution, I guess we've already spoken for about 22 minutes. So I don't know if you got any final thoughts or anything like that.
Let's see. I was just gonna yeah, I wrote down a few things. The about the Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 VHS tape that we used to have
Oh yeah, yeah.
at home. I don't know if you remember, but when you would play it, if you turn the volume up, you could actually hear the first Nightmare on Elm Street like playing in the background.
Oh
Do
really?
you remember that?
Oh, not
Yeah,
really. Not
yeah.
really.
Like anytime the Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 got like kind of quiet, you could hear like yeah Part 1 in the background.
That's
So
funny.
it was like they recorded over the first one, or else they were recording the first one in another room or something, and you could
Wow.
hear it. So yeah, that was really weird.
I wonder if that could actually make it worth a little bit more money on the eBay or some site like
Yeah,
that.
I think I've tried Googling that, like Friday Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5
Yeah.
with original Nightmare on Elm Street in the background or something, and nothing came up.
Yeah.
The other thing I wrote down to mention was just when we would watch like a lot of the horror movies that I first watched were experienced at grandma's house
Yeah.
and watching with her, and like she was just cool like that she wasn't like and a lot of the movies probably weren't her cup of tea, but I remember watching like the third Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
like with like Wayne was there, and like watching it
Our
in the
Uncle
living
Wayne.
room. Yeah,
But
yeah. And but yeah, like even like later on we'd watch like anytime Friday the 13th was on, or I mean that was usually that for some reason was shown more than any other horror movies on like USA or
yeah.
WGN.
I remember
Maybe I don't know.
USA had that short called The Dummy, which was pretty good. It's basically just about a killer dummy. There really isn't that much to it. But I
Yeah,
do remember enjoying that.
it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've watched
yeah,
that.
there were a few of them.
And I remember they had this movie called Student Bodies on TBS, I think.
Yeah,
That
I
was surprising that I mean, at the time it seemed normal for them to show stuff like that. But in retrospect, I'm surprised they kind of showed that because it
yeah,
does it. didn't seem like that popular of a movie or anything, even now. But
Oh,
they would sometimes take chances and they would show movies like Student Bodies or, well, I guess USA Up All Night, not
ye
TBS, but still, they would take chances with these cheesy movies that they would show.
oh, yeah, they showed all kinds of, yeah, cheesy movies like that, yeah.
I also remember, speaking of Friday the 13th, Part 3, I remember our cousin Dale pulling a prank on, I think it was at least you, but I might have been there too. Remember he leapt down from the bar and from the barn rafters
Yeah,
and a Jason mask.
yeah, he chased me up to the house with a real axe. Yeah, he put a
Oh
yeah,
man.
we were in the living room watching TV, and all of a sudden he just jumped up and ran outside. And I knew something was up, so I like chased after him, but of course I was younger and I didn't know which way he went. And then I think I started hearing noises or something from the barn, and I walked over to the barn, and yeah, he had climbed up to the rafters and he jumped down and he had like a bag over his head, like a flour sack or
Oh wow.
it was like a burlap sack. I think I don't know. And it's like I knew it was him, but I still ran.
Oh yeah. Well, you don't know if you maybe actually genuinely went nuts.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I would do in that situation. Because I mean,
There's
you could
another
just stand there and say, "Oh, you," and then what do you know?
right.
You get an axe in your cranium or whatever.
Well, that's I was gonna say when like watching horror movies with grandma, like she would always say like things were spooky, like Jason shoves a axe in some guy's head and she would go, "Ooh, spooky."
Spooky.
Spooky. Like like she'd yeah, say the same thing about that and a spider web, a guy somebody getting decapitated or a shadow, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, Dale also one time I think he did like the same thing. He like all of a sudden ran out of the house and then I heard a noise coming from do you remember in the back of grandma's house there was like a little I don't know what it was like a little storage space, like a crawl space under the well, not well, I mean it kind of was under the house. It
Yeah.
was under that porch
Yeah.
in the back of the house. And I was like, okay, he went in here. So I went in there and all of a sudden the door shut and locked behind me. And then so I was confused because I could clearly hear him making I think he was making like the like from
Oh my god.
Jason Friday the 13th sounds.
Yeah.
But what he had done is he had put a tape recorder in there, and so I was hearing that, and yeah, then he locked me in there. And,
Oh wow.
I mean, he let me out, but yeah, that was a
The,
pretty
the
good.
funny thing is, we're making him sound almost like a malevolent person, but he's really not. These were all
No,
just
no,
like high level pranks, or
right, right.
for our situation, what would be high level pranks?
Well, yeah, well, and I wrote this down too because of course he lived in Milwaukee. He grew up in Milwaukee and then he moved back there
Yeah.
for a while. And so yeah, there's like, and I want to talk to him actually about this. But yeah, like there's that time where he was at the mall and that guy came up. This guy came up to him, and I don't know if he offered him a ride or something. They just started talking, and Dale was like, "No, that's okay. I'm going somewhere else." And so he went on his way. And
Yeah.
then I don't know how much time passed, like a couple years or so, but he's then he was saw on the news when Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested, and he's like, "Oh my God, that was that guy." So that was yeah,
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer
Yeah.
like tried to get him.
That's pretty crazy. And actually,
Yeah.
I mean, we're both Ubers, so this will be relevant. One of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims actually was from the UP, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Yeah, yeah. I've been watching this series on Netflix. So yeah, I
He was
wonder.
from the little town of Ontonagon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So if you look up Jeffrey Dahmer victims and Ontonagon, you'll learn about this guy. I forget his name because, like I said, I'm pretty bad with names. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure which they don't go into that, and I haven't um
yeah.
looked into that.
So well, I would like to thank you for taking the time. This is going to be a completely raw video, or I mean, technically audio episode. So I guess we could do this again at some point. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I guess if you do have any final thoughts, you can give them right now. Although
Um
I guess you kind of just did that.
I suppose, yeah.
No. So all right. This was my brother Ryan, and he lives about 100 miles away from me.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, we stay in touch sometimes. And
Yeah, yeah.
tell your son that I said hello.
Yeah, yeah. I'll see
All
him.
right.
I'm gonna see him on Friday, so.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
so have a good day. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Good
Yeah.
night.
Bye.
Bye.